Hey, welcome back as we are going a lot deeper into a story that just caused a lot of chaos when it comes to the Friday morning commute. Typically, you're like, Friday, we made it. Not the case today. From the very start of mornings on 2 was a big issue. BART trains didn't even start rolling up until around 9:30. A handful of minutes ago, of course. So go ahead.
And it's still not
right. Like
total
service is limping back to where it was. I have to say, our James Torres has once again done an excellent job of taking us straight to the heart of the story. You're still there in Daly City. You were actually breaking the news to people who are walking up and hoping to get on BART this morning.
Yeah, it's tough to see people who are going about their normal routine, coming off a bus, coming off a rideshare service, getting to a BART station, hoping to get to wherever they need to go this morning, only to find out BART is not working. And that was the case for several hours this morning. It's actually still the case here in Daly City. BART service is still not happening in all of San Francisco and all of the peninsula and at the West Oakland station. However, limited service is now running everywhere else in the East Bay. So from Antioch to Oakland, from Dublin to Oakland, Berryessa to Oakland, and Richmond to Oakland. But go from West Oakland through the bay, through the Champs Bay Tube, and into San Francisco and the peninsula, you're still not going to have any luck, at least not as of yet. And BART officials say they're working on it, hoping to get that restored as soon as possible.
James, I was so surprised you talked with so many people over the course of your many hours covering the story. And, you know, I would be so frustrated if I had a flight to catch. Maybe I'm in the first week of my new job.
Same thought.
But people, I am stunned by the civility with which people responded to the situation.
I had the exact same thought. And there was actually one guy, and I straight up asked him, you know, I kind of thought you'd be more upset. Why aren't you? And his first reason was A, because it's Friday, and B, you know, for most people, they have other avenues to get to where they need to go. But keep in mind, this morning at least, we talked to some folks from Millbrae and from Daly City, and most people at this hour are heading to San Francisco. So from here, if you were to take a BART or a Lyft, it might cost you anywhere between $20 and $30. Now, if we were talking to people in Antioch or Walnut Creek who are trying to get to San Francisco, that is a much more difficult story and a much more difficult avenue to try to adapt to. There was one gentleman we spoke to. He says he takes BART every morning. He had his son with him, a really young kid with him, who said that the start to the morning was especially stressful. I think we have his sound. Here's why.
I'm trying to drop him off at school, my son, so it's going to take too long now because I got to head to work. So now I have to go drop him off at his grandma's, so he's going to miss his day at school.
Yeah, so that man told me his commute, he lives around here in Daly City, comes to Daly City, takes the BART down to Millbrae, transfers over to Caltrain from Millbrae, and then takes his son to school in San Mateo. And it was just going to take way too long at this point to get him there, so kid has to miss a day of school, which no parent ever wants to do. There was another woman who said that she was headed to the airport from Millbrae, which is usually a very quick short stop, but she was coming all the way from Santa Cruz, takes an Uber from Santa Cruz to San Jose, takes a Caltrain all the way up to Peninsula, and then now she had to navigate how to get to the airport. So everyone has a different story on how they're navigating this, and for some it's a little bit easier than others.
Taking, you know, the train to the airport when we go out of town. That's usually my mode of transportation when I'm flying out.
Me too.
Because I live right by the BART station.
Right.
And so, you know, especially when you're traveling for an important trip, you know, and so I just think about the folks who have missed it. And usually the reason I do that, if I'm flying during rush hour, then I just take BART because I don't have to cross the bridge, or if I get back, I don't have to, you know, during rush hour, I don't have to take the BART. So that's, and James, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, normally if you order rideshare, they're going to charge you, you know, you sit in that traffic. Doesn't it cost you more? A lot more?
I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, even in general, I think there's an upcharge to actually just get to the airport, let alone taking you from the airport elsewhere. So having a BART station that is at the airport, I mean, you can get off your terminal, walk upstairs, and there's your train. That was always extremely convenient, and a lot of people will tell you that. So I can't imagine the people who are coming off a flight on a Friday morning, ready to go home, only to find out that the train service isn't working.
Yeah, you know, I have to say this...
Which is still the case, by the way.
Right, still the case. You know, I have to say all this comes as it seems almost daily. I know we had the story yesterday and today. You know, mass transit is suffering, BART needs more funding, you know, riders may be asked to pay more, etc. So you really wonder what sort of a blow this might be to people's faith and confidence in BART. You had a graphic, I don't know if we still have it, but can you run down, you know, the fact that this is not the first time. Speaking of graphics, James, you know, it was just back on May 9th, and I'll read this for you. I don't know if you can see your screen, but May 9th, there was that system-wide outage due to network issues. A couple of weeks later, on May 20th, the red line had to be canceled because there was a fire due to cable problems. Back on the August 29th, not too long ago, there was an outage in the Transbay Tube due to equipment problems. So back to you and the fact that you've been talking with riders all morning. Is their faith kind of slowly or maybe quickly being eroded by these continued issues on BART?
You know, it almost seems like they're desensitized. A couple of people I spoke to say, yeah, it happens, but what are you going to do? And they're right. Well, what are you going to do? You have to get to work, school, or wherever somehow. I did bring this up to BART because obviously there have been so many conversations about funding and ridership not getting to the levels that it used to, and, you know, these packages that are in the state legislature. I asked a BART representative, you know, how do you explain this? This is certainly not the first time. You just read through the graphic there, and they kind of give us that same repeated answer of, you know, it's not the service that they want to be delivering. They know it's shy of what they're promising to customers, and they're working on trying to get the service back up to the level that they say is appropriate. And they say when things like this happen, especially when it's system-wide, when you're affecting every station and every BART line, that it's all hands on deck, that their engineers are working on it, their IT people are working on it. So you hope it's being taken as seriously as they mentioned, and you know, you hope that this all gets restored pretty soon.
James, I see people commenting quite frequently when these stories come up about BART's perhaps aging computer system. I know you've covered these stories in the past. I was wondering if you'd ever been able to talk to BART about that, and the many times you've covered issues like this in the past with them.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, you know, we brought it up to them, especially in the terms of, you know, these funding packages and conversations around funding, and that answer just stays consistent. You know, they know that they fall short with customers, and it's not a service that they think is appropriate. It's not a level of service, I should say, that they think is appropriate. So they work to try to make improvements wherever they can. They say the funding certainly would help that. I think back in the San Leandro conversation, when we had that fire that knocked out the red line, there were some really aging cables there that they've been working for quite a while to try to get replaced and improved. So there's a hope that that won't be a problem again, because that was a problem for more than 24 hours. It doesn't seem like today's issue, which by the way is a result of some sort of network upgrade that was supposed to happen overnight, and I guess that has caused some issues for the computers and the systems that run BART and the trains this morning. That was the reason that BART gave us today. You know, you don't know if that has anything to do with aging systems or error or whatnot. We haven't gotten that many details, but with half the service, you know, the East Bay half all on a limited service now, you hope that means that there's enough momentum going forward that the San Francisco side and the peninsula will be up and running soon.
Yeah. Before we break you loose to do your reporting, kind of take us through your next couple of hours, because we know we're going to have you back live at noon.
Yeah, we will be live back at noon, and really it is just a wait and see. We are watching the updates, we are checking in with BART, and we are also continuing to talk to the passengers here. But really the biggest development, the biggest next thing that I can tell you is when service is 100% restored. It's great news that they have it all going in Oakland and Richmond and Berkeley and Berryessa, but there's a number of people who rely on the service in San Francisco and in the peninsula, and again, West Oakland is still out of service too. So once that update comes around, you don't have to wait until noon to find that out. We'll send it to you through the Fox Local app, but we will bring you the most latest up-to-date coming up during that noon newscast.
And that West Oakland station is the busiest in the entire BART system. Good work again, James. I appreciate your time, this extra time you're spending with us to kind of help viewers understand what you've been going through, what you've been able to share with us, and a peek ahead at noon. We'll see you on our noon newscast, James. All right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. James, always so willing here. We appreciate your time as well. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss some news that shocked a lot of people, especially beer lovers. What's happening to 21st Amendment Brewery, coming up in a second. Welcome back to Take Two. It's an opportunity for us to go deeper into the stories that you've been responding to all morning long here with Andre Sr. We were focusing on, we love to talk about local businesses when they're doing well, when they're starting up. And it does sort of hurt right here when you hear of a longtime Bay Area business shutting down.
25 years, 25 years.
That's the case for 21st Amendment Brewing. So let's go ahead and bring in a Bay Area native. So I think you can sort of understand why many people feel this way. It's tough news about this brewery there, Devin Truby.
It really is. I mean, when they told me this morning that this was going to be the story for the day, I was like, what? Say it again? Are you sure? So I think a lot of people are stunned after 25 years in the Bay Area. 21st Amendment is calling it quits. Starting in 2000 in San Francisco, you have the two co-founders, and then they come here in 2015 to San Leandro. This is where they have the warehouse. They take over for what was the old Kellogg's factory, for any people that remember, and they've been pretty successful. I mean, ultimately, the Brewers Association ranked them in the top 50 from 2016 to 2019. Now, the brewing company told the San Francisco Chronicle that this is because of a cash flow problem. Their lending company says they're no longer able to supply them, and that sales have been down 20% each year since 2021. There are certainly a lot of factors to consider as to what's being impacted for the brewing industry, and this is a nationwide trend for a lot of folks. No business during COVID, and then all those loan programs have since dried up. You also have tariffs anywhere from 25 to 50% on aluminum. 21st Amendment, one of the pioneers for aluminum cans for packaging their beer here, so certainly they've been hit harder than most when it comes to that. And then you have sort of the generation right now, the market shifting towards hard seltzers, canned cocktails. A new Gallup poll out just last month said about 50% of Americans really just aren't drinking. And then you have the younger generations, like say Gen Z, that would become your newer customers. Alcohol consumption is just not as popular with them as with your older generation. So certainly a lot of factors to consider for them closing their doors after 25 years of business on November 4th.
Devin, I wonder, the Brewers Association said back in 2023, California was a top state in terms of bringing in money. I think it was $8 billion from breweries across the country. What is the impact in terms of jobs here at 21st Amendment? Do we know that?
So I did reach out to the city of San Leandro. We don't know how many people are employed here or impact. We're still waiting to hear back from the city. Overall, I can tell you the Brewers Association is letting us know that production across all breweries is down 5%. And for the first time since the 90s and the early 2000s, they have more breweries closing than opening. So certainly on a larger scale impact, that would be for speaking to jobs for the entire industry, certainly manufacturing, production, transportation, things like that, Andre.
Devin, can I ask you, let's go back to some of the numbers that you ran down a minute ago from that Gallup poll that examined how Americans are turning to or increasingly turning away from alcohol, focusing on young adults. They've been less likely to report drinking alcohol. That started about a decade ago. That trend has ramped up. It was 59% of young adults saying they drank alcohol back in 2023. It's at 50% today. So that's essentially a 1 in 2 chance that you're a young adult if you drink alcohol. They drink at lower rates than that of middle-aged and older adults. Because I guess we're middle-aged adults and you're a younger adult. Devin, can I ask you, what have you noticed among your group when it comes to alcohol consumption, maybe compared to what your parents have modeled for you? Or do you notice that younger adults in your circles are in fact staying away from alcohol?
I think something that really speaks to it is just think about how popular dry January is now, right? Everyone is doing it. They're online, posting about it, social media, and people just kind of partake now naturally. It just kind of becomes their yearly thing, not more of something that they're trying to do or a New Year's resolution. I would say, personally for myself, if I'm going to drink beer, I would more likely be drinking at some place like 21st Amendment growing up in San Leandro or, say, Drake's. But if I were to go out and order myself a drink, myself and my friend group, especially among young women, we're not going to, if I'm speaking for myself, I'm not going to order a beer. It's very filling. It's a lot of calories, I would say, is another thing that people kind of look at in terms of consumption right now, especially when you can get something like a hard seltzer, which is kind of smaller, easier to carry around, less calories, less sugar, things like that. I think people are into that healthier. I mean, now we have wine that has lower alcohol consumption as well. And with the younger generations, I think they just don't see it as well. They're kind of trying to be a more healthy generation, and they're just a little bit more conscious, I would say. But I would say for my male friends, they're still very, very much into the craft brew scene. They love their IPAs. It's really all they're going to talk about. So I think it just depends on what demographic you're speaking to.
All right, a little peek inside. Devin Truby, thank you again for your good work and your reporting this morning and for joining us on Take Two. Thank you so much. It's so interesting listening to what Devin was saying, like the social meat, like the dry January, even the calories.
I didn't even think about the dry January portion of it.
Like the conversation that we just had about beer is so different than what it was even just 10 years ago.
The conversation you and I would have about beer.
Right. It's just, so that's kind of why I wanted a little bit of a glimpse into her insight, and we got it. All right, when we come back, we have more news. We're going to dig into what is happening here in the Bay, so stay with us. A little tiny bit left of Take Two. Welcome back to Take Two. A few more minutes here to go deeper into some of the stories you've been responding to. We, of course, talked about the ongoing BART mess. Service still not restored. There's no Trans-Bay BART service as of right now. It's kind of limping back to full service in the East Bay for the most part and elsewhere. We talked about the First Amendment Brewery closing down. And
might I comment, Violet said on YouTube, I'm 32, and it seems like a lot of my age lately are trying to stop, slow down. Too expensive, and we want to feel better, just like Devin said.
Yeah,
there you
I get
go.
it.
Just wanted to let people know that.
I like that. I like it. People get to chime in, as you see on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're watching us live on YouTube, you can kind of give us your comments, and we'll share them here as well. Finally, we had to talk about something that Roberta Gonzalez, who is technically off today, but she is always working.
Is she ever off?
Is she ever off? This woman took amazing video. If we can pop it up on the screen. She woke up to this in her front yard, and she said, you know, what the heck is going on? So Roberta saw at least two. Are they bulls? Are they cattle? I know someone's going to correct me. I would just call these cows. So she first of all called the police department where she lives there in the East Bay, like Livermore, Pleasanton area. And then she actually, and I don't know how she actually found the rancher and called the farm where these animals are supposed to be, and was like, hello, I've got a couple of your members here in my front yard. So she said she'd let us know when things are resolved. You know, I mean, I have to say these are magnificent animals. You know, I'm glad she's staying a safe distance away. They seem to be enjoying her lawn and maybe her flowers. I'm reminded, remember the story of Ferdinand the Bull? It's, do you know Ferdinand the Bull?
Long time ago.
Oh, let
my
me
goodness.
tell you a story. Ferdinand the Bull is a story of a bull, and he's supposed to fight in a bullfight, but he's a lover, not a fighter. And so they do everything to try to get this bull to be vicious, and the bull's like, no, I just want to sit and smell the flowers. And so hopefully those two animals are more like Ferdinand, you know, than what he's in the cartoon.
You know, I hope, yeah, hopefully they're chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's partly cool.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
know, even though it's weird, they might leave a mess, but it's still
Right.
pretty cool to look out your window and see something like that. To
So
be sure.
kudos to Roberta for whipping out her camera, for sending us the
Sure.
video. We thought it was so remarkable. We wanted to share it with you. Speaking of remarkable, let us talk about the Valkyries, right?
Yeah.
They're making history as the first WNBA expansion team to make it to the playoffs
Crazy.
in their first season.
Crazy.
I mean, they're playoff bound. This is incredible. Interesting, though, because the first game will not be played at Chase Center.
Yeah,
You
I
have
wonder
to
how that's
head
going to
south.
look, you know?
Right.
I wonder how that's going to look. And, you know, they're going to be in this brand new place. But they played, away games plenty of times, so I think they'll just adjust it to how they play those away games and be able to bring it home. This is just another venue. It's still in the Bay Area, so they're going to have that hometown crowd. And if we're looking at a team that's been selling out all their games, right, 18,000 fans showing up. So I'm willing to bet that people are going to be showing up there and filling SAP Center and
so.
cheering on that team just to give them that little extra fight that they need to take this playoff and really go a little further for the team. Because what we've seen here in the Bay Area is pretty amazing. Pam goes to a lot of the games. Sal goes to a lot. He loves taking his daughters to the games. I mean, this is really kind of changed the face of sports. You know, women's sports. It's just really coming into focus right now, and people are taking it serious. I mean, I've been hearing about the WNBA for, I don't know, since I was a kid. No one really took it that seriously.
Did your hometown have a WNBA team?
No, yeah. I mean, it was just that one-off. There were not that many.
Right.
They weren't paid very well. Saturday Night Live did skits on them because the players weren't paid very well.
Right.
So it was just
And I
but
believe
now
that's
it's
still
like,
the case. Not to get political, but go on.
well, they still haven't turned a profit yet.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, there's still several million, tens of millions of dollars, behind what they should be. But the league is coming up, and we also have the issue of the players wanting to get paid more. But I think that's going to come. That's going to come, and especially after something like this. And especially after, owners are going to be looking at this like, what did the Bay Area do to get so many people riled up to come to a WNBA game? And they're going to try and replicate that in their city. And I said yesterday that Cleveland's getting ready to have their own WNBA team. And I think they're going to be really looking at the Bay Area to see were they able to get this fan base so riled up in their inaugural season and repeat that.
Speaking of fans, let's hear from some now.
I felt amazing to win this. How's your heart rate?
Heart rate is intense, just like the atmosphere here in Chase Center. Valkyries fans, it's awesome. We're going to the playoffs.
It's off the charts energy, off the charts. That lasts like 2.5 minutes, unbelievable. With all of the girls and just how excited they are, it's amazing.
Describe what your emotions were like, because
like right here.
An explosive atmosphere. We are so proud of the women on the Valkyries. We should note that they are making history. Again, the first WNBA expansion team to make it to the playoffs in their first season. First game of the playoffs will be played down at SAP Center in San Jose. Apparently, Chase Center had booked some sort of like professional tennis tournament or something like
way
that.
Before,
so long time ago, before it was even a thought that the Valkyries could make it this far. And here they have. We'll notice that the Valkyries have also set records for the highest attendance league-wide. So more people go to Valkyries games than any other game in the WNBA.
I'm sure many organizations are going to be looking at how do we replicate this in our town. So this is something we're going to be watching. We're also going to be having, coming up at noon, another update on that BART situation. Cam Cleveland said, I wish I could use BART as an excuse to miss work.